What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC, your channel dedicated to Juventus. It is a victory show, all right, with Juve taking care of business in convincing fashion. Finally, against Verona, 2-0 victory. Thuram shines and keeps the dream alive. But don't worry, you don't have to dream if you don't want to, but it is free to dream, everybody, all right? And we're going to tackle everything around this game and the aftermath leading into a very big matchup this Sunday against Atalanta. I got Omer and Mas with me. Omer, how you doing, brother?
I'm great. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Couldn't be happier.
Phenomenal. All right. All right.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. I love it when he throws out the phenomenal. Mas,
Mhm.
so much fun. Had to do it another time, hey?
Do it again. Why not, right? Especially after a win like that. Phenomenal is a great way to put it, right?
There you go. There you go. We got a lot to tackle. Obviously, Kefren Thuram will be in the discussions. Thiago Motta will definitely be in discussions. Despite the fact of a very convincing victory, we still have, again, like I said, not everybody's on keeping this dream alive. There's still fans on both sides of the fence. And actually, I understand it. We're going to break everything down in full here as far as where everybody's head's at with this team, because there's a lot that's changed. We've dropped out of competitions. You've got players opening up on their personal thoughts on how the season has gone up until this point, but it seems everybody is ready to put their best foot forward, and it's going to get a little bit easier for all of them involved, but we will get to their words, everything in the aftermath after the game. First things first, as far as any news headlines go, there's not much going on out there other than, again, these feelings, these thoughts that media is putting out around this team at this moment in time. But Vega could be back on Sunday. However, highly unlikely that he gets the start, okay? We'll tackle that on the backside of it. We get into this game. And first off, everybody, as you're rolling in here, get those likes up. All right, great to see you in here. Got TDM here. Huge win. Tuna's in here. Let's go. Forza Juve showing some props to Kelly. And we will talk about Lloyd Kelly and all the players and their performances after when we go through ratings, etc. And look at old DJ Cammy V on vacation still. Had to tune in for the victory show. Absolutely love the support, brother. We got Lucci in here, and we got Mitch. Let's go. Let's get into it. Starting lineup was as follows. Di Gregorio, Wea, Gatti, Kelly, Cambiaso, Locatelli, Thuram, Yildiz, McKennie, Nico, and Koopmeiners. So we did have some question marks around some of the starts. Koopmeiners again in a 10 going into this, because one of the things we said was like Malta's going to have to lean on the right guys moving forward down the stretch. And I just want to get your thoughts on that starting lineup, since neither of you were with us for the pregame show. So what do you think about the starting lineup, Mas?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit in the green room. I think Coop getting a rest was not even a rest, just a break to kind of clear his head was probably the best thing for the team and the best thing for him. We saw what he did in the second half. He came on and put in a bit of a good performance. So I think that was good. I would have liked to have seen, with Chico out, I would have liked to have seen Yildiz at the 10 and then possibly have Kolo on the right side and Vlahovic starting at the 9. But, I mean, clearly that didn't happen. And also, I would have liked to have seen Mbangula play, to be honest, a little bit more. He did come into the second. He got that assist on the second goal. But in my notes, I put, what does this guy need to do to get more playing time, right? Because when he's out there, he's shown that he's an impact player. So, but overall, based on the injuries, I mean, the lineup was what it was, right?
Yeah, there you go. Omer, any quick thoughts on lineup?
Just the Yildiz on the right and Nico on the left. Swap them back. They feel a lot more comfortable in their natural position. Beyond that, that's the lineup I would have chosen probably.
Yeah, I definitely agreed with Koopmeiners. I even had question marks about starting Nico, to be honest. Work rate, I had a long spiel yesterday about work rate is just something that should be bare minimum. I appreciate it, but like, again, and I think we could see it from the game that we're about to tackle, when everybody's kind of bringing that, it's not like an extra that you're bringing to the table. It needs to be bare minimum. I would have liked Imbangula and Yildiz playing out there. I'm okay with Yildiz. He just needs to be on the pitch. But nonetheless, we're good to go. We're good to go. Had some question marks about McKennie in that 10 role with a congested defensive line and midline. But, again, we'll get into it. It didn't really matter because they all brought the energy, the attitude, and the approach, and it was strong. It did feel a little bit maybe antsy at the start there because Suslov did get an opportunity early on from a giveaway right in front of our area there, and Suslov carried it across to the right, ended up getting a good shot, and that was a good stop by Di Gregorio. Probably the only piece of work he really had to do in this game was that one, but he handled it. And then from there, it was pretty much one-way traffic, all right? 13th minute, Cambiaso into McKennie. This would have been a sick goal, a great chested down play by McKennie to put it right in the path of Thuram. And I thought Thuram's going to want that one back. He didn't get enough on it. I thought he also should have just opened up and go to the post he was facing. He went strong side, but didn't get enough heat on it. But still a positive start for Juve. Everybody was moving. You could tell, even in that 13 minutes, the tempo that we were moving with the ball with, and nobody was stagnant. Nobody was standing around. Everybody was moving. Everybody was getting involved. And we'll talk about more of all the good things we saw that we haven't consistently throughout the season at the end. But 38th minute, Locatelli cutting in from the right and driving towards goal and short side. It gets stopped. 39th minute, like literally 30 seconds later, Yildiz carries it into a congested area. Ball finds itself to McKennie. He turns and fires at Montipo, and it's just like we got a lot of pressure. You get a lot of shots, a lot of block shots, a lot of half chances, and nothing seems to be going in. And it gets to this point where I literally saw somebody tweet it, and we were all thinking it in our head. We go, is this going to be a game where they literally come back and just find a goal out of nothing on just 46 minutes, Suslov with a cracker, okay? This was a cracker of a goal, and fortunately...
Almost felt bad for him, because that was a
100% felt bad.
That was a beauty.
It was a goal after, right?
Hell of a hit. Like, that was a worldie. And offside takes it back. But, like, we could all feel it. We were like, oh, my God, that is how this season is going. Thankfully, like we said, it was offside, rightfully offside, by a long shot on the original ball down the right wing. Because there was a lot that didn't actually catch where the offside was, but it was down that flank, the right flank for Verona. Called back. We go into half, 0-0. So, at halftime, there's not a whole lot to say. I think my tweet was just, there's not much more you could ask from these guys other than get clinical and kill this team off. But the attitude, the approach, the drive, the tempo, the ball movement, and even the off-the-ball movement was all on point. And we were sending numbers. We were committed. It just wasn't falling. Other than the finishing, there is not another thing you could ask from those guys. And that's just the way it went. But what were your guys' thoughts at halftime, Omer?
Nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
I mean, I was ready to burst because of the goal, but clearly it wasn't a goal. And there were also, I saw some people talking about, there's passed enough time to nullify the offside. So I read through the rules, and the Gregorio touching it doesn't count as possession switch. That's why it still counts. And so yeah, there are sections about it that clarify it. But not a lot to complain about. You were doing everything fine. They were in complete control. We'll go through the stats of the second and first half later. But honestly, except for a goal, Juve had everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything we needed.
That's pretty much it. Mas, anything to add on that first half showing?
No, I think you guys nailed it. It was pure domination, right, from
Yeah.
beginning to end. Montipo was amazing. I mean, some of the shouts in the chat for prime Buffon and stuff like that. I mean, the guy was stopping everything, right? It was one of those games where you thought, the ball's just not going to go in.
If it comes down to that and it takes a worldie like that, like this is just the first half statistics, but it's 78% possession. It's two big chances. It's 13 total attempts, and Verona finished with 2 attempts total. It was a complete domination. We just lacked that finish, and that was the only thing we really needed to find. Second half,
even passes 319 to 97. I mean, we
yeah,
it was beginning
all
to
over, all over them. We get to the second half, and 58th minute, we get a header from close range from Nico Gonzalez. That is too close to Montipo, who channeled his inner Buffon for this game. All right, we did have some chances we put too close to him, but he was making good saves. For sure. We get to 71st minute. This was a beautiful goal. This was great ball movement from everyone involved. Cambiaso into Colo, back to Locatelli, back to Cambiaso, and then trailing run, and Thuram makes good for the opportunity he wanted back earlier. And this guy is he's our beating heart, man. Where he goes, we go. He's been incredible. And then you start to wonder, and again, we'll get into everything in the aftermath, where he was when he missed out on starting 5 out of 8 games recently. And again, huge goal, but fantastic ball movement. And what was key here is that the second half went the same as the first. There was no let up. There was, if anything, there was even more of a push.
Is it possible? I didn't know it was possible.
Imagine that. Imagine playing the same way.
I tell you what, it was even better.
Yeah.
With the goals aside, statistically, the second half was even better than the first.
It was that was a beautiful goal. We're running out of words to praise Kefren Thuram, but this guy,
I knew why I bought his shirt. Early on. The guy is the beating heart, like you said. And first time he scores and we win, actually. Poor guy had a brace against Fiorentina, which we drew, and he scored against Empoli, which we also drew.
It's funny you bring that up because there's a couple guys I've been feeling for. Thuram was one for that, and the other is Perin. Every time Perin gets a start, it feels like he's got to deal with the media on a horror show of something. Yeah. So the Coppa Italia was the latest. But it's like this guy comes in, he gets these starts, and Perin always has to go through it out there. So we got to get him in on one of these performances where it's convincing and we can actually sally with him. But Thuram, great stuff. Beautiful goal, beautiful ball movement. 89th minute, Koopmeiners adds to it and gets this one. I actually thought this one was funny. Good. Again, we steal the ball, and it was Alberto Costa to Imbangula up forward for Koopmeiners, and he hesitates for a second, then takes that touch and hits it on the run. Of all the ones Montipo stopped, I was actually surprised this one didn't get stopped, but you know what? You will take that every day and twice on Sunday, especially if you're Koopmeiners, because he needed it badly. So we'll take that one. This game ends 2-0. Fantastic performance. This is a great performance. You guys, full time, 2-0. Mas, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say about it, right? It was a complete performance from beginning to end. I mean, I rank it probably as possibly our best performance of the season, to be honest, from beginning to end. I mean, the intensity and just the drive and the will to win was there all game long, right? The way I saw players fighting for balls, tackling, covering, everything. It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful game to watch, to be honest. You get few and far between with those ones, right? So it's when you see them happen, you gotta enjoy them, right? But even like the Thuram goal, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but when the ball went in, Yildiz was right beside there in the box, and he kind of just dropped his body. Like it was like like a finally moment kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
He was working so hard, and it was. I'm really happy for the team because of all the shit they're going through right now, all the negativity, with the ultras and all this stuff. I mean, it was a good way to bounce back, and it was good to see them come out in the second half and carry the momentum that they built in the first, right?
absolutely. Omer, full time.
Yeah, very, very enjoyable match as a Juve fan, not so much as a Verona fan. Yeah, that was a phenomenal performance. Both halves, everyone were actually good. I can't say that anyone was bad or didn't do his job. Some were better than others. Um, but I just enjoyed it. That's the type of performances we need against those teams. I mean, Empoli are four spots behind. I think they're 18th in the table. Why couldn't we perform like that against them? I don't know what they did, if it's Mota or if it's the pressure from the ultras or the stadium or whatever, but something clicked in this match. The intensity was always there, always from minute one till the end. I just enjoyed what I saw. Those are the type of performances we need against teams from 15th down.
And this is the thing is for me, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet because nobody seems to want to run away with this thing in the league, and we've pissed away so many points this season. It's bittersweet because there has been nothing stopping this team from approaching these games like that. There's been nothing. There's been nothing. There are theories, there are thoughts, and the players added to some of that in their post-match comments. And we will kind of dive into this, but it's a little bit bittersweet for me. There's been nothing stopping this team from doing that. And a lot of that energy, that drive, that attitude, it really should have been this way. And I know that we want to talk about the 5 days rest from the previous game. But guess what? In the matches where we had close to similar rest time, we were also dropping and we were also very flat. So it's like it's always been there with this group, and I remain adamant we are underachieving this season as a whole. But this hopefully is the strong sign we need that these next 11 games we can actually embody our main motto of fino alla fine, and we can actually make things interesting, which is all I'm asking for. And then from there, we'll dive into the rest. We are going to get
Well,
into the ratings, player ratings, everything, etc. Oh yeah, by the way, this went down. This went down. Um, we talked about this in the green room. I mean, on live watch, I was like, I don't know. It kind of looked like it hit chest before anything, and then you start to see still shots at this angle. I mean, it would be very difficult to not hit it first, but nonetheless, I want to talk about calls in general and whatnot because this kind of segued into a lot of fans saying that Juve needs to fight more for the fact that they're just not getting any benefit of doubt, any help on calls, etc. And they need to start to speak out about, and we've seen calls that haven't come our way that are getting called in other matches, etc. But what do you think? Do you open up that can of worms, or do you just keep it mum and keep moving forward? What do you guys think?
I it's a tough one because I do want consistency between clubs and between referees. I don't feel like we have been screwed that much this season. I think it was a lot more evident last season and especially season before that. Um, I don't know. We always ask for consistency. It's something that has never happened in football. Consistency between refs. I don't get the frustration of it not happening now. I stopped expecting it a long, long time ago. Every referee is a bit different. There are stuff they will call and stuff they won't call. And I don't remember this Marchetti guy too much. I think it was pretty lenient in general in the match. That's why I'm not surprised. In the video, when I saw it live in the match, I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought it was too soft. Maybe the video was not good. Maybe the photo is lying. But if we are debating it, like it should or shouldn't be, and I see some comments that are agreeing it shouldn't have been a penalty, then it's not clear cut, and there's not a lot to argue about. And so for me, it's a moot point. We won, and I don't think we should, raise hell because of it. You have always dealt with that and won titles regardless, and we'll keep doing that in the future,
Yeah.
no matter who the
It
referee is.
I don't know. It's on the follow-up, it's kind of frustrating. I'd be hard pressed to ask the question if maybe another team gets that call. And not trying to feed into conspiracy theories, but I've seen the exact same situation and it go that way. The problem here doesn't lie in teams, doesn't lie in allegiances, doesn't lie in conspiracy theories. It's literally the handball rule itself that is a fucking mess and continues to be a mess. And out of all the rules, out of all the calls they make, this is the one that seems to just drop the most amount of controversy in what is and what isn't. And it's ridiculous. Like, if you're looking at this, I'm sorry. I watched it on live and it looked like it was chest first and then going to the arm, and then you see the other angles. It's arm, and his arm is way the fuck out there. Unless this guy's planning to fly out of the 18 overhead, your arm's way the fuck out there and it clips it. That's a handball. But I don't know. I don't think we need to open up a can of worms and get involved in that. We've got our own shit to kind of worry about. Mas, where you at? Leave it alone. Don't open the can of worms, or what?
Yeah, I've never been a guy that gets into it too heavy with the refs, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you mentioned in the green room we should be a little more upset about the calls that aren't being reviewed for us, that are under review, because that's happened on several occasions this season. But yeah, no, it's like Omer said, man. Just take care of business, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's always
Just
going
take
to
care
be
of
there
business.
as a bigger team in the league. It's always going to be there, right? So just do what
Yeah.
you got to do.
If you played Verona, Como, Empoli, those teams, and you have to haggle at the end whether it was a penalty or not, then you probably shouldn't have won this match. I
Just
mean,
I
Juve
stand
should.
I stand firm. VAR is just it's I don't know.
Misused.
It's
Misused.
it's useless at this point. Let them just run it, because you're just adding more controversy. Because this one, if you review, I'm not really sure what the argument is on not doing it. So nonetheless, it is what it is. We didn't need it, and that's the key. We didn't need it. Okay, take care of business, and that's what I want you to do first and foremost. I don't want to be one of those guys worrying about them fighting the fight for themselves. And yeah, we've seen the inconsistencies, but the officiating's garbage. We always cover that. We're gonna get into ratings. Man of the match. Maybe unanimous. I don't know. We'll see when we get to yours. We'll shut it down. Di Gregorio, 7.3. I don't even know how you can register that high with very little work. I mean, this guy could have played this game in a lawn chair. So, nonetheless, okay, 7.3. Weah at a 6.8. Mas, you were saying you'd like to see it a little bit higher for Timothy Weah.
Yeah, I thought he had an amazing game, to be honest. I know he came out, I think it was just before the 60th minute, but I thought he was very, very impactful when he was on the field. I'd have no problem putting him at like a 7.3, 7.4, to be honest.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Gatti, 7.2. Lloyd Kelly, solid showing. Solid showing for Lloyd Kelly.
I want to say quietly solid. He was good. Everything that came his way, he just took care of it with not a lot of fuss, a bit of good dribbling, better than I expected, composure. Nothing too fancy, but that's like the level. When you play Verona, you should dominate their forwards that way. So it did its job. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It's just what we expect from a Juve center back.
Yeah, it was good. You can tell, and you could tell immediately when he moved inside that the confidence level is way higher at the center back role than it is. And it's not saying or hyping him up to anything that he isn't, but he is definitely clear at center back as opposed to playing on the outside. You see way more aggression, way more confidence to get engaged in duels and push the opposition backwards. So yeah, good showing for him. Cambiaso, 8.3. That has him at the highest rating out of this game. Cambiaso was magnificent yesterday. And
For
I said in the form he has been, he becomes a liability. He need to rediscover the Cambiaso that we had seen earlier on the season. This was exactly that. A fantastic game for Cambiaso.
yeah,
8.3.
I maybe
Maybe, but I didn't have my man of the match at 8.3. I had him at probably around an 8 or whatever, but Cambiaso, I'd have him at a 7.7 in there. I didn't have him as my man of the match. Did either of you have him as the man of the match?
I
Nope.
did. I did. I didn't at first. It was Thuram for me, but then I was doing the stats for the show, and Cambiaso sticked out. He was the one driving forward. It's almost impossible to count him as a left back. His stats are that of a midfielder, not a left back. So for me, he was man of the match after watching the stats.
I see you guys in the chat. Don't worry. We're going to come back to Cambiaso. All right. We are going to have that discussion. Thuram, 7.9. This guy just keeps doing it. He just keeps doing it. Came in, came out. It's impressive. It's a surprise. We thought he would be good. We talked about it yesterday or on a few shows. We thought he'd be good, but to this degree, I don't know. But he was my man of the match. I actually had him hitting 8. I had Locatelli right around the same at like a 7.8, 7.9, just behind Thuram. Both of them were fantastic. But Thuram was my man of the match in this game with Loca just behind him. Guys, the pivots.
I mean,
Yeah,
kind of begs
Thuram
the
was mine
question.
for sure, 100%.
So Mas had Thuram. And Omer, you ended up changing yours to Cambiaso, you said?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
changed to Cambiaso, but still, Thuram was massive. Our most informed player this season, and just a joy to watch. What a beast!
Yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, 87 touches, 89% pass accuracy, 64 for 72 there, one key pass, 3 for 5 on long balls, 2 shots on target, obviously scored a goal, 1 for 3 on dribble attempts, 2 out of 5 ground duels, 1 out of 4 aerial duels, only lost the ball 11 times, was fouled once. He had a fantastic game.
I
You
think
look
they're
at
immovable.
Locatelli, 98 touches, 88 pass percentage, 67 for 76, 2 key passes, 2 for 4 on cross accuracy, 1 for 3 on long balls accurate, 2 shots on target, 1 shot off target, 3 shots blocked, dribble attempts, 1 for 2, ground duels, 2 for 4. Only lost the ball 15 times. He was fantastic as well in this one. The two of them, they've been on lockdown for a long time
Yeah, I
as the
think they're
1A options.
immovable. Yeah, they're immovable. Anyone who wants to take their place has to perform wildly now.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Now we get to up top there. You got Yildiz with a 7.8. I thought he actually played a very strong game, very active, very involved. The only thing, my thing with Yildiz is his shot selection is probably the only thing I could nitpick from his game. Outside of that, I have no issues, and I think he's a strong player. But 7.8 might be a little high for me in this game. I had him over 7.2, 7.3, but I definitely didn't have him that high. What do you guys have him that high?
No, I think
Yeah,
7.2, 7.3
Yeah.
is
And Mas, you,
reasonable, but he did have a good match.
yeah, he did have a good game. But Mas, you
yeah, I
had him
wouldn't.
that high?
I wouldn't put him that low. I wouldn't put him that high. I think I'd put him at like a 7.5. I
Sure.
mean, we talked about this before. Like every time they panned to him, he was putting in such an effort out there, right? He looked
Yeah.
gassed every time just because he was all over the pitch, right?
Yeah.
Um, like several performances this season, he's just missing that goal, right? The
Yeah.
effort is clearly there, the talent is clearly there, but it's just that goal that's eluding him,
Yeah.
right? But I'd probably land at like a 7.5 on him for sure.
Weston McKennie, 7.2. Nico Gonzalez 7.3, Kolomuani 6.9. All I'm going to say here is I think Nico Gonzalez might have been my lowest ranked player just for on a personal execution level. Weston McKennie and Kolomuani did a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on a stat sheet when you talk about their involvement in this game in general and creating chances, and Kolomuani opening up for everybody left, right, center. So I kind of feel hard done by looking at Kolomuani on a 6.9, even way a 6.8. Nobody should be below a 7 in this game. I would probably go Nico Gonzalez at like just an even 7, and I would have McKennie 7.2, and I'd get Kolomuani to 7.2 as well, because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on a stat sheet that these guys were doing. We rounded out with those guys. Any disagreements on the ratings there or your thoughts?
I think Kolomuani was very lively, very much involved. He was dragging fouls. He was, always an option for a pass. He was drifting right, left, center. I think it was very lively. Too bad it didn't get a goal, but I don't think he had a bad match by any means.
Yeah, not by any means. Not by any means at all. Now, there was a player that came on, and it was Koopmeiners. And he came in, he got a goal, etc. We do have to talk about what I saw that was good anyways about this game that leaves me feeling bittersweet, about where we're at and where we could be if things went our ways, because everything that we did in this game we were capable of. I've spoken at great lengths going into games where we're going to play teams where we anticipate them to kind of clamp down and create this wall and get very tight between the mids and the defense. And I always said, if you want to beat these guys, you got to move the ball way quicker. You got to get numbers forward. We had numbers in the box all game long. 6, sometimes 7. And Locatelli, when have you seen Locatelli this season advance as much as he did yesterday? All the mids. All of them getting involved, getting forward, supporting the attack properly. The fullbacks, all of them, fully engaged. What I noticed as far as Koopmeiners, even Locatelli needs to get up there and help in those moments. If a team chooses to play you in that manner, that's how you hurt them. You move the ball fast, you put pressure on them, and you swarm them. You don't allow them to breathe. You don't allow them to get out of their area. You just keep peppering them, and eventually it will crack, and it will give in. As far as what I saw with Koopmeiners that I liked was he needs... It matters a lot for what happens around him to get the best out of him. When you have a fullback and your fullbacks are bombing forward and you have freedom with the winger and everybody's moving, because our legs off the ball yesterday was the best work I've seen from this team in a long time. Nobody stood around. Everybody was trying to become an option for the ball carrier. But it created lanes and opened up spaces. That was the best I've seen this team create spaces for each other, arguably all season. And Koopmeiners, he's the guy that isn't going to dribble by guys. He's not going to take guys on. He's not going to do that. But if the space is created, he's got the wherewithal to attack the space properly and then make himself useful. And it all has to work together. But those are the things I liked. I really liked the fact that we were actually moving off the ball a lot, and we were committed to attack and putting them under, and no let up from first to second half. Guys, do you agree with those points? What do you think you saw that you liked the most that we haven't been consistent with? There's a long list we haven't been consistent with, but what did you seem to like the most out of this match?
So definitely the movement and the exploitation of dead space, if you want to call it that. Just the everyone was pushing high. What we were lacking is the defense also joining to claim those lost balls, those balls that are being kicked out of the area, and now they were pushing a lot higher, so they were winning all those balls. They basically suffocated Verona and didn't give them a sniff. And I mean, the stat supports it. Tons of shots. One was like 27 or something like that. That's insane. I just enjoyed it. You were going all in. If they could, they would have scored six. And Coop, he has to do it consistently. Eventually, if he has a shit game, but eventually he gets on the score sheet or gets an assist, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It just he's been consistently bad. Now he has to be consistently good, or just consistently provide goals or assists. That's what's expected of him now
But it has a
to
lot
redeem
to
himself.
do with what the others are doing. This thing with Koopmeiners and trying to figure it out, it's always has been Mota, and Mota's got to figure it out how to get the best out of him. But this guy doesn't forget how to play football in a season like this.
No, he's a
We've
system
talked
player.
about at great length. He's not a 10. And to be fair, neither is McKennie. So the 10 are your playmakers. If you're not going to do it, do what you did yesterday, and that's get your fullbacks bombing because it gets your wingers freedom to move where they need to be. In turn, that creates space. Flatten it out. When you're going to use your midfielders, like Koopmeiners doesn't need to drop back to be one of the pivots. Just flatten out your midfield. Flatten it out and tell them to just delay that start and that run up and come in as the trailer. That's the way he sees the game. That's when he's at his best. Just hold him back a bit. Playing with three midfielders doesn't automatically equate to somebody having to be the 10. You can do it with two box-to-box guys. And right now, Thuram needs to get advanced as well. Because with Thuram, the thought of Tuna bringing him up as a 10 potentially, we said it. We're like, you're going to lose some of the best if you want to target him and hone in on that. Make these guys box to box and let them sort it out, but continue to bomb with your fullbacks. It'll open everything up. Mas, what do you think? Flatten out the midfield?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the opportunity's there, right? What we saw yesterday was a, a thing of beauty, right? I
Yeah.
mean, how many times this season have we kind of just sat there and said, this is bullshit? Like, they're not creating anything. They're not, nothing's working. We're not passing. We're stagnant. We're not moving in the box. It was an enjoyable game to watch overall. As a neutral, you would have loved that game because, I mean, there was the Thuram goal was shades of like Barcelona tiki taka. You know what I mean? It was how many passes in the build up to that goal, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, when it comes to Coop, I think a lot of the issue with Coop is a lot of people weren't familiar with his game when he came over to Juve. I don't know if a lot of people thought that he was the type of player that was going to take players on, super skilled. He was always a guy who was a goal scoring mid who, got in the right positions and I think just the perception of him coming into this season, I think, was a little wrong. He hasn't performed. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he hasn't lived up to expectation, but maybe we got the different player that we thought we were getting in the end.
And Omer,
Yeah.
do you agree with the flat three and getting the most of him? How do we unlock this guy consistently? You just
Oh,
said he's got to do it consistently. What was different yesterday?
nothing. It just came on late. The legs were tired. They were chasing a goal, and he found the opportunity. Just drift a bit forward, and he find himself in front of the goalkeeper. That's still a good finish. Call it however you like, but short corner. That's a good finish. I think what is I know how fans look at him and what they expect him to do. I think Mota kind of expected him to be the guy with the ball at his feet the most, to be like the facilitator, create chances, lead attacks. And I don't think he's that guy. I think he's a player of 1, 2 touches. That was his best thing, either a shot or a good pass, but not a ball carrier, not a technical guy who dribble past players. Just take the ball, turn around, pass it to someone. I would take the pressure off him. You don't need to do anything. Get the ball and know immediately who you're passing it to, and go for it. Let go of the handbrake and just try it. That's where I think he excels the most, and that's what Mota, in my opinion, should aim for.
we've got
especially with the amount of
Mitch coming
Locatelli and
in
Thuram
here.
board.
Question since nobody knows what Coop's best role and position is. I just think it's in a midfield, but I think it's what you do with the others matters the most for him. But do we need him? Do we need Koopmeiners?
No, now no. Now the way he's playing and the way you are playing, it doesn't seem like he's the missing piece. I don't know who is, but I do think there's a player in there, and they gotta figure out how to like sort of unlock him and make him a lot more useful to the game.
There's nothing stopping him from playing the Locatelli role yesterday either. If we're going to actually move them forward and everything, and him calling the shots from there and pulling the strings from there, he could also do that. It's not out of this world to think that either. It's just about, again, I think there was maybe way too much expected of him in terms of the creation when there was so many other faults in the creative side for this team that it affected everyone and him overall. And I think Malta force feeding the thing actually delayed improvement for the player.
Yeah.
He probably should have been coming off the bench for quite a bit sooner to get things rolling. That's just my theory, my thoughts.
I mean, it's easy to say that now in hindsight that we don't need him, but take me back to the summer after like 3-4 years of awful midfields. Juve couldn't control a match to save their life. And he was coming off like being the third, maybe fourth best center midfielder in the league. That wasn't like an easy purchase for me. But the price tag is what puts a lot of burden on his shoulders. But taking it back to the summer, I'm doing that signing again.
I'm still not get rid of him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Everybody goes back and says, why do we sign this guy? Like, no different than Mota. Like, there were teams out there that coveted this player, right? He was coming off 2 or 3 very strong seasons, a great season last year. Let's not pretend that we were the only team that was in on this guy, and we were the only team willing to give him the money that gives the money to Atlanta, right? Like, the guy's a quality player. It just hasn't translated to the new team this year, right?
Yeah, it's he's got to get it going. We got to figure out how to get him going. In keeping him moving, Cambiaso, who put forth a stellar performance yesterday. Well, do we have to keep him? Must we keep Cambiaso? Right now, 68% say yes. You do not sell Cambiaso this summer. Mas, do you sell him? Do we have to keep him?
What's the number? 60 mil? Is that what we're
68% say yes, we must keep Cambiaso.
No, but in terms of the money we'd be getting back, what are we looking at? 60 million? Is that the rumor?
Let's call it 60. We should probably shoot for higher, and we probably will, but let's say 60.
Listen, at 60 mil for a fullback, I'm of the opinion you can't not sell him at that value. I keep going back to the Alexandro thing where he had that one strong season and there was offers of 60, 70 million, and we missed out on selling him there at his peak, and you know, he was serviceable down the stretch, but we were never to get more money than we would have that season. 60 million for a fullback is a lot of money. Like, you can do a lot of things on your squad for that kind of money, right? Of pure profit, mind you, right? So I'd sell him.
Yeah. Omer, must we keep him?
Well, we don't have to keep anyone. Question is replacement and money. I would like to keep him because left backs, in my opinion, are the hardest position to fill in a team. And we have a good one, a really good one. But like, if you let's just play a game. And who are your options if he leaves? Who do you want Juve to go for, and how much will they cost? I'll tell you mine right now. You either go for Udogi or Tavares from Lazio, and I'm talking like reasonable, something that we can pull off. I think 60 million is too low. I mean, if Man City are interested and they paid 100 for Bardio, we don't talk to anyone about less than 70 for me. I mean, we can squeeze more out of it, but
I
we should prepare ourselves to a situation that he does leave. I mean, Juve do need the money. It will solve a lot of problems.
I am at the point where if whatever gets us to the home free, it might suck, but you got to get to the point where you can make your decisions where the sporting fact matters. I mean, I can't get out of my mind how quick he found an agreement, all this. He was inconsistent for quite some time. People want to talk about the ankle injury, etc. I mean, Cambiasso spoke about himself going through something personally before he even spoke to the injury after the game. That tells me maybe his mind wasn't where it needed to be with us at that point, and it makes me raise questions. If he was like, if this is what you get nonstop from him, game in, game out, it's hard to sell. But then the question becomes who, because we still have a little bit of work to do before we are completely home free. It's gonna take one more big push, and then you're done. So who's that big push instead? I don't know.
Well, there is no that. That's the issue with making a lot of money from a sale. You need to sell someone you really like and who's doing great. So
Then it becomes quantity. Then you have to make it up on several sales. So what hurts the team more on the sporting side? Because yeah, it's clear to say key player when he plays like that, but where do you get the rest of the capital to just finish this whole numbers thing? It becomes a quantity thing. And if you're talking about selling guys like Luis, Nico Gonzalez, Koopmeiners, etc., you're looking at break even. You're looking at break even because they just came in. So it's tricky. It's really, really tricky. For me, it comes down to also the player. And he was pretty quick to want to jump. That's all I'm going to say. Like, I don't know. It's a tough one when he plays like that.
I'm a bit skeptical about him just jumping on the first opportunity. It might have been it, or it might have been what we've seen with other players. That they told him, listen, you're not part of the project. We need to sell you and just find a new club. And then Man City called. Maybe he did want to leave. Maybe it came from the management. We don't know. We don't have a clear answer on that.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult when it comes to Cambiasso. I want to ask this. Everybody in the chat, and we're going to start with Mas, then go to Omer. Give me your, 3 or 4, it could be either 3 or 4 building blocks moving forward for Juventus, in your opinion.
Let's just take one from each department. So, for me,
no, it doesn't matter. Just 3 or 4, whoever they are. So we're going to get Mas's, then we'll get Omer's, and I want everyone in the live chat right now to fire them away too.
For me, it's got to be Thuram, it's got to be Yildiz, and it's got to be Bremer. Those are my 3.
Thuram, Yildiz, Bremer. Okay.
Yep.
And then that's actually the same as George, except he added Cambiasso as well. So, Omer, who's your 3 or 4 building blocks for sure?
Well, the ones Mass named are for sure there. And if I have to pick one more, I'm having trouble between Di Gregorio and Cambiasso. Interesting. Let's stick with the 3. I don't think Di Gregorio is in the market either way, so he's probably staying. But gun to my head, Bremer, Yildiz, Thuram. Those are my guys.
Bremer, Yildiz, Thuram, Cambiasso. Yildiz, Thuram, Digre, Bremer. Thuram, Bremer, Yildiz. Bremer, Locatelli, Thuram, Yildiz. All right. So there we are. Now, let's say that we go with your 3 of Bremer, Yildiz, Thuram. Okay? So Cambiasso hasn't made it into one of those building blocks. Those are all your big capital gain guys.
Yeah. Obviously.
So take one away. Which one do you take away?
Out of the 3?
to get your capital. So you got Bremer, Yildiz, Thuram. We're going to throw Cambiasso in there. You have to throw one away to get yourself home free.
Okay, I think Bremer is miles above everyone else in terms of level of consistency. So he's out. He's not leaving anyway for me. Has to be Yildiz. Gotta say. I can't let go of Thuram. I think midfield is more important.
We're adding Cambiasso in there, remember. Bremer, Thuram, Yildiz, Cambiasso.
Yeah, but because I didn't consider him and didn't have him in my list, he's the obvious answer. So I want to stick with the three I did choose.
Yeah, I would agree.
If he's an option, yeah.
Well, Cambiasso is an option because he's one of the sale. We're talking about, do we have to keep Cambiasso? Let's work off those four. You have to knock one out. Some are putting Yildiz even with Cambiasso in the picture.
No, then I go for Cambiasso.
Yep, 100%.
100%. There's a lot saying Yildiz.
I get
so
why.
would you keep Yildiz over Cambiasso? You guys are saying yes, and you let Cambiasso go.
I would.
Either way, the fan base is going to be upset. A large chunk of the fan base is going to be upset whichever way you go to get that capital, and I think we're going to need one more push. So it's very interesting. For me, I don't think I say goodbye to Yildiz over Cambiasso.
It's all a question of replacement, right? Who do you get instead eventually? Then you can easily forget. Because I don't remember anyone happy about selling any big player at Juve. No one was happy about Pogba, and that was a world-breaking transfer money. So, yeah, it's hard to let go of your favorite players.
It's very, very, very hard. Very, very hard. And maybe, just maybe, because, you know, the thought that follows Yildiz around is that he may not stick around a long time either and might want to go somewhere, etc. But Cambiasso's already having those thoughts, admittedly. So, I don't know. For me, if those are your guys that you're looking to build upon, I would have Cambiasso still at the lowest. I get the arguments for him, versatility, whatever. Look, we just named him as one of our building blocks. But if you have to, I'm sorry. I'm keeping Yildiz. Now, we got to get to, speaking of keeping, all of a sudden, keep Mota. It's never been Mota all along. Vindication for him in this victory, this 2-0, and the way Juve played. Best defense in the league with only 21 goals conceded, with Bremer being out for 5 months, Cabal out for 4 months, Cambiasso out 1 month and a bit, Kalulu out 1 month and a bit, Vega out 15 days, Danilo left in January, Danilo was forced out. Vindication. Mota, everybody's using this now all of a sudden as it's always been on the players.
No, I don't think.
The problem I have with this, and what we heard with a lot of the players, is them talking about recovery. Because Thuram talked about it, Cambiasso talked about it, and a couple others talked about physically feeling better. Now, it's 5 days away from a game against Empoli, so I don't know what could have been different between the 4 or 5 days, you were getting off between other games and other competitions. But they say now we feel better physically. All of a sudden, training. Look, it's up to you as a coach to get these guys through a season. And guess what? At Juve, we want to play multiple comps. Part of that is on Mota as well.
Yeah, although he's not the first one to deal with it. I've seen a lot of other managers who don't know how to, balance the minutes between players. And when you're in a tight title race, then you kind of always have to play your best guys, and you really have to pick your moments. And we didn't have a stretch during the season where we were first and we could allow ourselves to try some new things. We're always chasing. Since the beginning of the season, we're always chasing. But one match against Verona doesn't vindicate Mota nor the players. Let's see how we do against Atalanta and Fiorentina, and then we can start talking more positively.
Exactly. But everybody's in a rush to be pointing fingers to say this is what the issue was. This is what the issue was. Nothing is sorted. There was nothing stopping this team from playing this way throughout. It shouldn't take a retiro. It shouldn't take your ultras to say you have no testicles to fucking do this. Like, it's your job. And everybody was not doing their job to the best of their abilities. Mas, what do you think with the crowd that comes out saying, well, no, it's been the players all along. I told you.
Have we not learned our lesson this year after a win, and then we play the next game and we shit the bed? Like, this is exactly what we do every single time, right? I mean, I think everybody has a part to play in what's transpired this season. And at the end of the day, it hasn't been that bad a season. If you think about it, it's one of the craziest seasons I've ever seen. Like, we're only 6 points off, but I'm exhausted, right? With just all the news, all the drama. Literally, it's
Oh, you
every
got it
day is
easy.
something, right? Yeah.
You got it easy.
Yeah.
2 seasons ago was the hardest. 2 seasons ago was the worst.
Listen, at the end of the season, we have to judge Moto. I saw it in the chat here as well. I think it was Rodrigo that put it up. We got to judge him at the end of the season. I mean, to be 6 points off right now is amazing.
Let's say
keep it at that.
We see what we saw against Verona, because a lot of people are saying, hey, this is Verona, let's pump the brakes. Listen, that Empoli side was worse, and we did worse. That Empoli side was worse. That was Primavera and second stringers. Yes, Verona was missing key guys too, but it was still a better side than that Empoli side that we faced. That Empoli side, that was atrocious that we went out to those guys. You can only play and beat who's in front of you. The manner in which we did it can't be ignored, because that's kind of what we've wanted to see. And that was the proper attitude, approach, etc. If he does this 11 games, the rest of the way down, and we play like that, regardless of the results or whatnot, that's kind of the base, the foundation that I was looking for personally, that I've said we haven't achieved since the start of the season. I don't know yet if that is solely enough. So I'm with all of you. I've been going like this for months now, saying 1 game at a time. 1 game at a time. The dream that's alive, 6 points out of the top, the majority of the fan base still says there is no Scudetto race for Juve. How do you feel about that statement? Juve is not in the Scudetto race. There is no race for Juve.
I know everyone is saying that Juve are back in the Scudetto race, pundits, whoever. I don't want Juve to look at it that way. I don't want us to look at it that way. We are aiming for it, but keep it quiet. That's what I'm saying. Don't get the players' heads filled up with things that are going to derail them. 1 game at a time. And if we're closer to it, I mean, the objective is still the same objective: win every match. I don't think that whether you're in the Scudetto race or not changes that for Juve anyway. So win every match. That's where I'm at. If we get to have a Scudetto out of it, fine. That's now objective number 2. Objective number 1 is solidify the top 4 finish. We do that, let's start talking about other objectives.
Yeah. Mas, what do you think?
Yeah, Omer nailed it, right? I mean, if you look at the standings, we're only 6 points off. So technically we are in the race. There's a race on. But this, I mentioned in the last pod I was on, like, this team is so mentally fragile. Introducing this idea of, guys, we're that close. We can, it's...
Well, they're talking about it.
I don't want it. I don't want it. Like, what, Berto, you said it all season, man. 1 game at a time. That's
game at a time. And that doesn't change that approach too, because this is one of the things that bothered me is Juve needs to go into every match with the mindset to win it. Nothing should be changing. We look at our schedule, it is very favorable. Very favorable schedule. We can do some damage. Atalanta's up next. Atalanta, Fiorentina, then Genoa, then Roma. Roma's actually been upstart there with Ranieri, and Lazio later on, Bologna later on. So it's still favorable. There's still some tricky games in there, but Everybody's beatable. The big thing for me is the blueprint
We
has
are
been
also.
laid with this game against Verona. And again, people can say, oh, Verona came out flat. Verona was weak. Verona is garbage. Guess what? A lot of that was from what we did to them. We didn't make life easy for them. We ran our asses off. We won 50-50s. We were stepping on the throttle. It's a good schedule. It's doable. One game at a time. But again,
Nothing
it's
this
this
season gave
mindset
me.
that when you ask about the race and the dream, etc., it's the confidence. It comes down to your confidence. This team has not instilled confidence in this fan base, and that's the sad reality. We all want to be
Exactly.
fino alla fina. We all want to go until the end, and we will, and we want the team to do that. But I'm telling you right now, it is what it is. Everybody's just basing this off their confidence level. The happy-go-luckies are like, boom, the race is on, and technically, Mas said it is on. You're only 6 points clear. Naturally, it's going to be spoken about because you are in there, in the race. As far as us, and if we believe it wholeheartedly, it's still up to Motta and the players. And that's the bottom line.
Just nothing this season gave me the impression that any match is easy. Nothing. That's why I'm not going into the favorable schedule and whatever. We can lose to Genoa after beating Fiorentina and Atalanta.
We absolutely could. But this
Yeah,
game,
so
I don't care who it was against, was by far the most motivated, inspired, whatever the hell you want to call it, performance that we've seen this season. Can they
fully agree.
replicate it? So
That's the question.
the
Is the
question is,
one-off
can
or
they replicate it consistently down the 11 games? And that's what you need to ask yourself if you're trying to look at, is this thing an actual race? So
And
to
there's no
blow this
answer.
team off completely, I'm not going to do that. But I'm also not going to jump on and say, guys, like it's coming home. No, it's can they replicate that again?
Well, the other question is, can they physically replicate it, right? I mean, the effort they put in yesterday for the 90 minutes, I mean, we haven't seen that all season, right?
But now you're one game a week.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. You would hope they would be able to replicate it, but again,
And
I
it's
mean,
one of my things going back to Motta managing several competitions, and others were naming other coaches that struggled with it, but that's a big part of that job. Is when you have multiple competitions, you got to get your guys through that season. You got to find results. Now, things might be different. Tuna saying it. With one competition, Motta might even be a different man. We
well,
wait
we
and
now
see.
have as much wins as we have draws this season.
We now have one game a week.
Let's go. Let's go. Prove that we can do it. Prove that this crop of players is what makes Juve great and can make Juve great again. But if we're like finished second, I'm happy in general.
Yeah. Moran saying, Berto, what happened to the one-trick pony? Has he shown us more tricks? Was there a trick yesterday, or was there attitude, determination, like pressure, getting bodies forward into the area we've asked for all season? These are things that could have been provided all season. I'm literally stating that it's a bittersweet victory because we were capable of this the entire season, especially against inferior opponents. I mean, oh, okay. So Moran says that's exactly why I brought it up. I'm still of this feeling that this is a bittersweet victory. It's good. It's a good victory. It's a good win, and it puts us 6 points out. But what can we replicate? I fucking hope so. Because
We can. We can. We have beaten better teams than us this season, teams that are above us in the table. It's not out of the question.
and we're gonna
You
do
are
something
not
big
underdog.
if we steal this thing. Like something big is happening with this channel. Okay, like I'm gonna do something. Like there's gonna be a giveaway. Like something has to happen. Okay, I already said I doubt it, and I would eat my hat. So maybe in order to spare myself having to eat this thing, I'll probably do a big giveaway, okay? So let's just see. But again, it's up to them. It's up to them. Storm the barn. Is Nico Gonzalez just another Filip Kostic with some aerial ability? I'm starting to feel that the club spent 40 million on a defensive winger. Not much going forward. Wow. Who wants to tackle this one first?
I don't think that's the case. I think he's played out of position. It just doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't seem comfortable playing out there on the left. He kind of take away all his tricks, and all he has to do now is cross and cross and cross. He's much better at beating his men on the right side, cutting inside. His aspects of the game suit a lot more to the right wing than the left wing. And also playing with Cambiasso on the same side, a guy who drifts forward a lot and becomes part of the midfield, and you kind of have to keep an eye on the players running on the wing. So I don't think he's another Kostic. I do think he's out of position and been underwhelming, and I expect better from him.
Yeah. Another Filip Kostic. Mas, Nico.
Didn't this guy score like 16 goals last year? I don't think Kostic ever came close to that, right? Similar to Coop, there's a player in there somewhere, but Omer, you nailed it, right? He's, the position he's playing in isn't working for him. The effort is there, but we'd all obviously like to see more, right? For sure.
I don't know what it is, because it's stuff that, like, positionally shouldn't really matter when you're talking about, like, touch. You're talking about your touch, like, it's doesn't matter where you are on the pitch. Like, his touch doesn't seem characteristically to the level that it should be when you watch him, which is sometimes a sign that he's just kind of not comfortable. So maybe in turn does kind of relate to position, but I don't know. It just looks kind of sloppy. It looks scrambled. Sometimes he tries to do way too much. I spoke about yesterday when Chico was taking a lot of flack, has been taking a lot of flack recently from the fan base about being a one-trick pony, etc. And I just said, I think our game relies so much on wingers to create everything that it makes them act out of character and try to do too much and whatnot. And I thought that Nico was maybe falling into a victim of that. And to that point, look at yesterday. Yesterday, the creation was coming from everywhere. It was coming from Cambiasso, it was coming from Yildiz, it was coming, like, McKennie had his little bits in there. Thuram and Locatelli created a lot. Like, it spread out the way it should be. And that's what happens when you get everybody involved and you support the attack properly and don't leave a striker on an island and everybody gets up to help. But Nico, he's behind the eight ball. He's really got to step it up right now. I wouldn't go as far to say he's a Kostic, but Kostic had a lot of assist contributions and whatnot. It's just his game was very one-dimensional. But I don't know, completely different players. I'll just say that Nico's been grossly underwhelming. And that's about it. Can we talk about the boos for Koopmeiners in the stadium? As much as I don't really like Koopmeiners, that is embarrassing from the stadium-going fans. What do you think about fans booing Koopmeiners?
Oh, there are two ways to look at it. It mostly depends on the player and how he reacts. There are players that are getting, driven by it, and it makes them play better. And there are players that just crumble under the pressure. Personally, I don't like it when it's directed at one specific player. If it's the entire team, then it's the entire team. But I don't know. I don't like it when it's directed at one player. But I get why some players sometimes need it.
Yeah.
Mas, what do you think?
And I mean, this guy's already feeling the weight of the world right now, right? This obviously isn't going to help him. I agree with Omer. If it's a team you're booing at, fine. Like, I've never gone to a sporting event and booed, to be honest. I'm not that type of person, so I don't really get it. But yeah, I mean, the guy already has issues. He doesn't need more more pressure on him with that kind of stuff, right? He's feeling the weight of the contract or the transfer fee, the fact that he's not playing well. I mean, that's obviously not going to help him, I don't think, just because I feel like he's very mentally fragile right now.
I'm kind of the same thought process as Omer. I don't like singling out the guys. They'll know. Media does a good job. And if you think these guys aren't on social and don't see, like, they know. Like, Koopmeiners knows he's not having a good season. And this is not a good opening campaign for him at UA. He's not a friggin' moron. I mean, he knows. He's very well aware of the price tag he came in on. Booing him, singling him out, is not going to help. It's just like, there's some people that are going to look really fucking bad if this team does turn around, achieve something, and you've called your coach a piece of shit. You booed and singled out a guy that is now your acting captain. And now you're adding to it with newcomers and whatnot. It's just like, keep it to the team when you make those types of acts. You know, it's just, it's bizarre to me. Yeah. It's bizarre to me. And I'm not saying that it was necessarily the ultras that booed Koopmeiners. I'm just saying in general, like, get it together. Get it together. Bring it down. Like, I've said this all along. Like, my thoughts on Alexandro were prime because everybody knew where I stood. Saw him in Los Angeles, face to face with him. You think I'm going to be like, man, I wish you'd leave my fucking club? No. I said, you know what, man? I wish you the best of luck this season. And that's it, because he is a member of the club I support. That's it.
Look, I've seen Real Madrid fans boo Ronaldo and Gareth Bale. I mean, if those guys get booed, then no one is safe. I don't agree with it, but
I don't agree with it. Yeah, I just
I'm not
don't agree with it.
It's happening. It happens everywhere to almost all teams.
Yeah, I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. Now, this club has been What If FC for 3 years straight now. What if no minus 15? What if Pogba was healthy? What if we didn't draw so many games this year? All those what ifs could have been Scudettos. It's crazy. This year, it's actually killing me at the fact that we have such a high point total that we lost from winning positions. And you look at everybody else tripping up around us. It really is a what if season. And it pisses me off the most because I've believed all along we're underachieving and we are capable of more. And there's no reason we couldn't be playing the way we did yesterday more consistently. Not even every single fucking game, but just more consistently. And especially against, the weaker, inferior opponents. And if that came down to more rotation, trusting guys, maybe guys weren't physically fit, but you're leaning on them. Well, then you know what? Rotate it out. You just have to keep that level. That level alone will go a long way. But yeah, you're absolutely right. What if? Mm-hmm. Have we not learned already that you don't judge a player before he's even stepped on the pitch? Kelly and even Vega were called horrible signings by huge parts of the fan base in January. Yeah, good old Lloyd Braun there. Said, let's just see. But I never balked at the price because it's very close to Kalulu's price. So I said, like, in the grand scheme of things, you're not getting much for that price tag anyways. I mean, Alberto Costa was what, 7 million less than Lloyd Kelly? So what are we talking about here? His wage is also significantly less than it was at Newcastle. Vega caught me by surprise.
Yeah, where is he, like, on the pecking order?
Who? Kelly?
Kelly. Yeah, if everyone's healthy.
I play Vega ahead of Kalulu.
I was gonna say, do we still have Vega?
So he's Possibly last, right?
Possibly. Kalulu's not a true center back for me, but I might feel a little more comfortable with him than Kelly. But Kelly's better aerially, so it's kind of it's not
Yeah,
hit
we
and miss
have
for me with
seen.
Kalulu. Kalulu's out of position on a lot of our goals conceded.
Actually, what I saw in terms of let me just read you out some defensive stats of both Gatti and Kelly. So Kelly had one block, two clearances, two headed clearances, seven recoveries, been dribbled past 0 times, and won 0 tackles. Gatti with zero clearances, zero interceptions, four recoveries, got dribbled past 0 times and won 4 tackles. So what I'm reading out of that is they kind of complement each other, both of them. Like got at least in this game, I'm not saying forever, but to have that as your what is it, fifth in the pecking order, if he's last, your fifth CB. I mean, in terms of depth, you don't get fifth CBs better than Kelly. You shouldn't expect him to be better than what Kelly offers right now. I mean, for years it was Rugani and some guys from the Primavera, from Next Gen, who are fifth guys. Guys didn't get a shot, and if everyone's healthy, he doesn't step up on the field. So I think he's fine. I think we should give him some some props because he kind of been thrown into this pool and is doing well to keep himself above water.
Oh yeah, the left back thing was horror show, but now it's
Yeah.
center back's much better, much better. Let's keep it rolling here. If we sell Cambiasso this summer, first of all, how much would you sell him? And second of all, who are you replacing him with? I say Nuno Tavares. Nuno Tavares would be great. Mas, what is your minimum price that you would move Cambiasso for? What do you want to see as a minimum? Say nothing less
Listen,
than this.
I'd move him for 60. I'm telling you right now. But I mean,
So that's your kind of minimum is 60.
That's my minimum is 60. Yeah.
Minimum is 60.
I mean, add on the EPL tax. I mean, 70 or 80 would be great.
Yeah. What's your minimum on selling him, Omer?
70.
70?
70. Below 70, I'm not selling. We have an asset here, and we need to manage him correctly. And if we do sell him, it's like a car. You have an asset, you don't sell it for less than what it's worth. For me, it's 70 and nothing below that.
Yeah. I'd like to see 70, but I always said 65 is kind of my breaking point. 65 minimum. Even just push. It is the Premier League. If it is City, push fucking hard, okay? But
what if it's
tough.
60 and a sell on?
60 and a sell on? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's 25 also.
I'm not liking the sell on things. I'm not liking the sell on clause for big players because they usually, because no one wants to pay their salary if they perform bad, and they keep getting loaned out to other teams, like with Cancelo, and then you see nothing of it, or you see it when the price is really low. Like, you use the sell on clause when you sell a good player to a smaller team. When we sell him to a team like City, no one's going to pay him the salary they pay him, and they're not going to sell him.
That's why you get the sell on the purchase price, not on profit.
Okay.
So you got to work
City agrees.
You got to work on that. Don't do it on profit. Do it on purchase price, and then you'd be laughing on that. But yeah, we're not far off from each other. 60, 70, 65. We're kind of right there, everybody. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and maybe he stays, and maybe Juve says goodbye to somebody else to make things work. It's going to be interesting to follow. We'll see what happens. I can't help but see something in here. And it had to be Forza Inter. If we're going to let you rock around here, imagine if you started saying you could walk on water. People would say you're mad. Yeah, Juve fans walk around, scream 38 and aren't locked up. Dude, you literally have a replica in your fucking trophy room because you didn't win the real fucking thing. Are you mental? You guys can't even fucking count. Holy shit. People that were with you on that team said you never won it. Holy shit. These levels are fucking insane. Anyways, somebody had to get it today. But yeah, you've got a replica fucking trophy in the fucking trophy room. And this guy wants to talk. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. All right. FC replica. Yeah, replica FC here. Fucking calculator FC. Jesus Christ. All right. We're going to keep things rolling. We never got to who you wanted to see replaced. Let's say Cambiasso leaves. Who do you want to see? Nuno Tavares is a great shout, by the way. Would be stoked. Yeah. I like that Gutierrez shout, too. Happy with either one of them.
Yeah, either one of the two, or if we can, what's his name? Grimaldo. Udogi is still a favorite of mine. And if we can, by some miracle, because I think his contract runs out this season, although he's kind of guaranteed to Real Madrid. But if we can pull the Canadian guy from Bayern, Alphonso Davies. Yeah.
Ooh.
We're not really being realistic here, though, guys. Come on.
I said because there's
no. Do you want my wish list or do you want my realistic picks here?
Go ahead.
Give me Mendy. How about that? Give me Mendy.
Oh man, it's good. How realistic a mercado of Henko, Tavares, Tonali, Seshko is. Also loan Colo again. So Henko, Tavares, Tonali. Holy shit.
A lot of money there.
That's a bit too much unless you've got two big sales probably, because we're not going to want to spend all of that because you still want to stay on the right side of things, right? So Henko's relatively cheap. What were we talking? Was it a 4 or 5 year deal around roughly 35? That's not that bad. So depending on what his salary was, which also seemed pretty low, that's going to cost you annually maybe somewhere around it's probably cost you somewhere around 9 or 10 million annually on the books. That's not his salary. That's the purchase price amortized plus his salary. So 10 million of your capital annually, boom, right there. Tonali is a much different beast. Higher salary, higher wage, or higher purchase price. And Seshko, no, it's not realistic. 2 out of 10 for realistic.
No, I think Tonali and Seshko alone will be about 100.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tavares, interestingly enough, I'm trying to find Tavares. I'm trying to find Tavares' contract with Lazio because he's on loan there. He's actually belongs to Nottingham Forest, so that might be.
It sucks when you go to that site though to find that salary because you got to scan through all the penile implant fucking ads.
Oh yeah,
those fucking clowns. Those clowns. Now the moment. What do we got here? RB Comps. The moment I knew this club was regressing was the season under Pirlo when we celebrated 4th place like we just won the World Cup. Absolutely embarrassing. Enough's enough. I want a trophy. Well, we got a Coppa Italia last season amidst turmoil. A trophy is a trophy. You accept them all. But we want bigger. We want better. To celebrate that moment, though, I'll tell you what, and I tell everybody the same thing right now, losing out on the revenue is fucking catastrophic. So to celebrate that moment, yes, are they celebrating like, yeah, maybe it's over the top, but I mean, my God, if we didn't get that, it would be even worse. So whatever. I don't think I think they still knew that it was brutal, and the fact that we needed help to do it, it was brutal. But I mean, shit. Gotta at least be happy about something. Yildiz is not a winger and will continue to be playing slightly under expectations if he continues to be there. Agree, disagree, fellas? Mas?
Well, he said his best position is at the number 10, right behind the striker. So, I agree 100%. Right, play the guy in his proper position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Omer,
agree. Since
winger.
I agree, I like him as a winger, left winger specifically. I I don't know yet if he's better as a 10. He says he's more comfortable there. I'll take his word for it. I don't think a number 10 is the way going forward. And if it is, I wouldn't entrust it with a 19-year-old who's still learning. I want to see him there on occasions here and there, but I need to gauge him more to say, yeah, that's the way forward. Because when he's not available, then you have to change formation or play someone like McKennie or Koopmeiners, which we agreed are not up to par with what we expect from the 10 position. So I think it's a bit risky right now, but I'll take his word for it. If he feels better there, go for it.
Yeah, I just got to take care of something real quick here, and now we're gonna go here. I just had to kick Forza Inter out. Fuck, enough's enough. That guy was annoying. He had his chances, but it's too much. Oh yes, penile implant boy. We do remember you, and we got the victory, and we are gonna finish higher now. And actually, you know what? Since we're dishing out days here, I might as well just keep it rolling here. Sven, hey, all right, you can join Forza Inter and go on the Chihuahua bus. Now, let's keep it rolling. We got one here from Mitch. Dell's first, and this is, how do you rate our chances against a stuttering Atalanta? I love the chances personally. I think it's a very winnable match, and maybe the mood can change here. It's a shame it should never take the turmoil that we saw to get that showing against Verona, but fuck, maybe that's what they needed. I don't know, but I like our chances. I don't think, as unconvincing as we are, nobody's convincing. So that's what we have in our back pocket. Hey, we might not be able to show the same, but they might not be able to show their best foot forward. So I actually like our chances. How do you guys rate our chances?
They're struggling right now too, right? I mean, we're playing them at a pretty opportune time. If this was earlier in the season where Atalanta was on fire, I'd be a little more concerned. But at the end of the day, well, Juve is going to show up, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to be confident, right? It really is.
Yeah, they had an interesting 2025 because they either lost, draw, or won 5-0, which is interesting. Yeah, that's 21st of January. They had 3 5-0 wins in 2025. I don't know. They're unexpected. I don't. Now they're out of Europe and out of Coppa Italia, so they have a week to rest as well. And sometimes they're unplayable. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for them, and they get trashed. We are actually kind of okay against them. In recent season we had a loss or a draw here and there, but in general we're better than them when we meet them, especially at J Stadium. I know I'm a bit confident. I think I don't know. No. I think it's pretty equal, to be honest. Both teams are very unexpected.
Yeah. It's exactly that. You just really don't know right now. There's surprises all over the fixture list. Like, we've got the benefit of it a couple weeks running. Let's just hope for us finding that blueprint that was laid there as far as the energy, the attitude, and whatnot, and let's put our best foot forward and see. And again, Mota needs to lean on the right guys. A lot of that's going to fall to him too in terms of the lineup. But it sounds like he's got some things locked up as far as what he wants to do. Let's see if it continues. One game a week. The fact of this remains, there's no excuses. There's no more excuses here on out to see, at bare minimum, the best attitude and approach possible from this team. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no excuses. There is no more excuses.
No, now you have a week to prepare, to
Yeah.
learn their weaknesses, watch their matches, pick
Game
your
plan,
players,
adjustments, all
everything.
that. Like, there is no excuses.
And if you want to talk Scudetto, you got to start by beating those teams. That's the way.
Yeah.
And you
Atalanta's going
can
to be
bank
a
on
big one. Yeah.
yeah, you can't bank on others to keep dropping points. You gotta, take the bull by the horns, as they say. You gotta win those matches especially the teams above you. If you
Yeah.
want to talk Scudetto.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mitch had to storm the barn about getting that guy out of here. Yeah, we did that. So there you go. No problem. Obliging to storm the barns before even reading them. That's how in sync we were. Yildiz 10 was a marketing ploy, like the Fajoli documentary. LOL, he is a winger. I don't know. To be honest, I think he could play anywhere. We get into this positional thing. He's a good player, just needs to be on the pitch. But the marketing ploy, maybe.
Well, it fell out of the sky for you.
Well, remember when we signed Dusan Vlahovic, and he was gonna go to a different number, and they made him take the 7. They made him take the 7 before he went to the 9. And Ronaldo, of course, had just been the one that vacated the 7. So the team definitely influences certain decisions here and there. Thoughts on Weah staying at right back permanently? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I love him as a right back. I want to see it more against stronger opposition, but I have no problems with him there. I think he's really strong as a right back, and he's getting himself into positions to still contribute in the attack. So
yeah, that's more of a modern right back that we're looking for a long time.
Yeah.
I always thought, and I always said it here on the podcast, I think there's a very good player in there. And I'm actually happy he found a place in the team that's not on the bench or as a super sub or whatever, because I think he's a very good player and should be in the starting lineup. And the question is where. So right back is the right answer for me.
Yeah. And I'd like to see Kalulu get some minutes out on the outside as right back. And I see him more as a right back than I do center back. That's 100% sure. So be interesting to see. Everybody, get the likes up. We're coming down to the wire for Storm the Barn, and then we're going to see if the panel's got any Storm the Barns. If you had the chance to replay one game this season, which one? PSV, Empoli, or a Serie A match?
It's got to be PSV. Has to be.
PSV for you?
Yeah. Well, we win that game, we're in top 8, no? That's the way it would have played out.
We would have waited to the round of 16.
Sorry, round of 16,
yeah.
So that one's a no-brainer for me. I mean, the Empoli one was a tire fire for sure, but in terms of what it would have meant, the PSV one was much more important for us, I think.
I think I'd go for the Club Rouge match, because if we do win that, we get a different draw, right? To finish higher, and I think that was up for the taking, and it was just a nothing draw. You were not there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But Eindhoven is the right answer probably.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, I guess I'm just thinking about outside of the money in Champions League, 11 million. My expectations in Champions League in this first year was kind of like, let's see, right? Put your best foot forward, but let's see. You go out there with your best intentions, of course, all the time. But the way everything's shaping up, my God, so many Serie A matches. I would go back in to get the extra points, but one set of extra points, if you take one of our if you take a loss and make it 3 points, 3 points right now, leaving you 3 points from the top, based on what I expected in Champions League versus what could be done in this Serie A this season. Yeah, I'd probably say give me an extra 3 points in Serie A. That's me personally. Yeah, I don't know. And then Gio's just saying Champions League was a bonus, but Coppa Italia was just a massive failure. But I gotta say, this Serie A, it's for the
we
taking.
talked about it. We talked about it a bit, you and I, in the green room after one of the shows. And people might not agree, but I think getting kicked out of the Champions League was actually a blessing in disguise for you.
It sucks to say that, and it sucks to admit it and see it. But you know what? Maybe, just maybe, that could be the case. But of course, time will tell. Because if we get a flat game, you get a flat game here on out or whatever, it's gonna get ugly. But for me,
now they can't lean on the excuse of the Champions League and extra matches.
Yeah, it really shouldn't be. Guys, I want to ask you, Mas, Omer, do you guys have any Storm the Barn? Do you have anything you want to bring up that maybe we haven't gotten into?
Yeah, I did some stats before the match. Let me just pull them out. After the match, I think the match stats we kind of went through them. So let me go through some of Locatelli's stats this season, stats per match, and compared to previous seasons. Okay, so defensively, tackles this season 1.7, 23-24 1.9, then 1.8, then 1.4. Interception 0.7, 0.7, 0.8, 0.7. Clearances 2.4 this season, 1.8, 1.6, 1.1. Block shots, it's the same every season. Offensively, shots on goal less than previous 3 seasons. Successful dribbles less than previous 3 seasons. Dispossessed less than previous 3 seasons. And passes 10 more than previous seasons. So Locatelli seems to be a lot more of a midfielder to me, reading out those stats. Like, he was tasked with a lot of defensive work when he played for Max. And so how do you guys read those stats? Because there's not a lot of contribution in attack as well. It's just everything is in the middle of the pitch. But much more of a midfield general than a defensive midfielder or an attacking midfielder.
I mean, stats are one thing. I always just kind of just look at the player in general. I mean, he's capable of, and I always said it, he's capable of more. He was capable of more under Max. Always knew it. As a true out and out box to box, no, the pivot has always been his thing. And I remember a lot of conversations, and I remember speaking to a journalist that spoke to the trainer at Sassuolo that said the same thing about Locatelli, and said the second you introduce a third midfielder is when it gets questionable for him. He's a midfield general. You're absolutely right, Omer, and I would agree 100%. That's who he is. But as far as this offensive influence that he's not capable of, or everybody was like, he can't do it, I was like, look at the team game under Max, etc. Like, he's fully capable.
He had most shots yesterday, 6 shots. That's more than everyone else on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, he's more than capable. It's about finding his balance. And games like that, I always said, get this guy further up the pitch and supporting and attacking as well. Pin the other teams if they want to sit back and clamp down. You're not going to hurt them with 3 guys against 6 or 7 in the box. He's a midfield general, though. Mas, your thoughts on Luca?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, stats are one thing. I think the key this year is I think he's been a lot more consistent than he was in previous seasons, and he's really kind of grown into that role. And he's wearing the captain's armband. I mean, that's, huge shoes to fill, right? But it seems like he's taking that on in stride, right? I think, I've been very pleased with his performances this year. I think he's doing great, to be honest.
Yeah. Luca played best for Mancini as a box-to-box and midfield pair with a pivot behind him. Those were brief little stints, though. His best was, I think this season is his actual best. And yeah, he's made some mistakes here and there, but Sassuolo was the closest to his
Yeah.
best. But this year is his
By the
best.
way, by the way, his Sassuolo stats, the one I read out, the Sassuolo stats are wild, higher than all of those.
Yeah, his Sassuolo in the 2-man pivot was by far his best. But I actually think this year is actually his best. But the stats, yeah, would probably deem that one, because he had good goal contributions as well there, and assists and whatnot. Would you change Motta with Italiano in the summer? He has experience of playing every 3 days, doing well at Bologna. So did at Fiorentina, and what I know, he's a Juventino. I would not, Chris. No. If big if we make a change, I'm not going to a guinea pig anymore. I want somebody serious with serious CV. So it's a no from me. Mas?
You literally said exactly what I was going to say. I don't want anybody with. I want somebody with experience. I want a winner. I want a name in there. I don't want somebody who plays beautiful football and could be a question mark. I need somebody who's guaranteed for the job.
Now, I have a storm in the barn, because it's been going around so much, and we got to get into this. It keeps coming up. It's not going away. Alessandro Del Piero, and everybody's saying he must get involved, and we need him in the office. Agree? Disagree? Thoughts? Mas, Alessandro Del Piero, immediately in the office at Juve. What role does he do? How do you want to see him here? Do you want to see him here?
Well, I mean, it can't be any worse than the figureheads we got there now, right? I mean, bringing a legend into the team to take over some placeholders that are there now is definitely not going to be a negative. What role would he play? That's the question, right? For me, I'd rather see Chiellini in there over Del Piero, just because he's got some business acumen, and I think he'd be an asset to the team. If we're going to bring him back just to kind of parade him around like a show pony, that's not. I'm not in for that. But the guy's a legend. He's a club legend. You got to integrate him somehow, if he's willing, obviously, right?
Yeah. Omer.
First of all, yes. Wherever you can put him, bring Del Piero back. No one can say no to that. Now, to Massimo's points, depending on the position, what role does it take, whatever. He did have an interesting post on Instagram a few days ago. He had a photo of himself, and he wrote, "The beauty of waiting is that it leaves room for thoughts." I don't know. Del Piero at Juve all day and twice on Sunday, like you like to say. I believe he still has some pull power. Like, if he calls a player and said he wants to sign with Juve, the players will listen to him. We all saw probably Phil Foden, just glossing over him when he was standing on the sidelines in the Man City game. I mean, players who are playing now do know who he is and what he's worth, and have tons of respect for him. So, for Ala at Juve, I don't care if he's a bobo. Just get the guy back.
Yeah, it's funny. Gio Conidi here saying that even if he drives the team bus instead of Guido. Azzurri Juve saying, most importantly, I don't want him as coach. I never want to hear Del Piero out. But in the office, as long as he's really listened to, I know he would really care. Yeah. I mean, there is no detriment to having this guy as part of the team. In some capacity, there is no detriment to it whatsoever. I'm actually leaning towards the fact that you've got Chiellini, who's got the business acumen, as Mas mentioned, but even Del Piero's got the business acumen too, on his own personal accord, with several entities. But nonetheless, something to this scale, this magnitude, it can be a little nerve-wracking to just think, because he's an ex-player and he's got business, nothing to this degree as far as history. I'd like to see a group. I'd like to see a world where Chiellini is involved higher up, Del Piero is involved higher up, but I still think you would probably need one guy that still is your main visionary or kind of just overlooking everything, because they all bring something different to the table. But as far as flat out running the show, I don't know. I don't know. But as I said, there's no detriment in having these guys, and at least you would know they would be in wholeheartedly. Platini, maybe. And all I'm going to say is this, that if anybody keeps an eye, we got our friend here, friend of the channel here, that always tips off little things, always looks at little intricacies. And Frankie, you know, I love it all. And he says, Agnelli still at work, hard at work. Yesterday, stocks went up. The stocks went up randomly. And he thinks he's behind him. And it's just a matter of time before Agnelli comes back. Would this prevent Del Piero? Some have thoughts that it would prevent Del Piero from ever coming and being a part of it. There's a lot of speculation around Agnelli and some of the ex-players. But time will tell. Time will tell. Platini in there with Del Piero, Chiellini. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something?
That would be awesome. Like Moji and Bettega and Geraldo.
It would be crazy.
Yeah.
It would be crazy.
Yeah.
But now,
just give me something that's going to give me some DNA, man. You know what I mean? We've been preaching it all season long. Something to get back to the DNA of this team, the history of this team, and to make the younger players of this team understand what it means to play.
You're right.
And where that.
But
that
don't
jersey,
give
right?
Agnelli a phone. That's 100% right. Let's keep that guy.
geez.
Let's keep that guy on the phone.
What do you make of the Curva sitting out of J Stadium calling Mota shit?
We talked about it yesterday on the pregame show.
No, how do you think Mota should react?
What?
For me, it's suck
Ignore
it up. For me, it's suck it up. Suck it up.
Ignore
That's
it.
what you're gonna get. Allegri had eggs thrown at him when he was signed, and nothing better than shutting everyone up. Shut them up.
I personally just think it's ridiculous because I think they have this sense of entitlement that they really should with
course
the
it's
Ultras in
ridiculous.
general. I think they're all over the map. I think they're inconsistent. They're kind of hypocrites in a way based on things that they did choose to fight over versus things that they didn't and then did vice versa. I just think it's stupid. I think it's a bad look. And like I said, when I mentioned earlier that there's some people that are going to have egg on their face if this team is willing to, or if this team achieves something that is highly unlikely right now at the end of the season, they could look back on it and look really, really stupid and really, really bad. I just think it's ridiculous. But there's nothing anybody needs to do. I don't think, with something like that, I don't think they should be given any attention, to be honest.
No.
But
Just make them shut
it
up.
sucks.
They
and it
clearly have
happened.
agendas.
It sucks,
Clearly.
and it happened, and now we move. Now we move. Is what it is. Atalanta, that's the next one. You know the drill, everybody. I'm going to get you hooked onto the news daily leading up to that, and then we got the Match Day Live. Yes, there's a watch-along back on for that one, and then we get to the post-match the following day. Today, it's been a fun one. Victory shows, we always love them, and again, hey, dreaming is free, but do so on your own accord. All right? I'm not telling you gotta. Just, hey, tread lightly. Tread lightly. I'm one game at a time. You do what you want, okay? But Kefren Thuram, this guy's the real deal. And he's keeping the dream alive. Let's go. This guy's a lock. Mota, lean on the right guys. Mas, Omer, absolute pleasure. As always, you guys. And chat, always a pleasure. You guys are the best. And we gave out some days. Kicked out a couple of lads. Hey, we do what we have to around here. Drop a like, share, clip, whatever you want. And we'll be back real soon. As always, no matter what, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. One game at a time. Atalanta, hopefully they're the next ones to get that day. All right? Ciao tutti. Take care.